The son of our close friend made a bet with his mom that Trump and Musk would have a falling out. He said that within a year they did have a falling out, but now they've made up again, and no one can figure out who won the bet. "Hey, Elon," Trump said as he approached the White House crowd. "How are you?"
And guess who else was there? Elon Musk. Haven't seen you in a while. Ronaldo took a selfie with him during cocktails. Trump said, "How are you, Musk?" when he came to dinner. Did Elon stay overnight in his old office like he did during the Doge days? Before Elon said that Trump was in Epstein's files, I think he was right about something, but not in that way. But in any case, that's in the past. You?
Their policies are terrible. I rarely mention it since speaking up could make them change. I tell people don't talk about it. Wait 2 weeks before the election and then tear them to shreds. Yes, we talked about this. Yes, Elon?
The guys are back. Maybe Trump still wants to hear something else?
We give them an interest deduction if they buy one of the good Tesla cars and borrow the money. You're so lucky to have me with you, Elon. I'll tell you, you really are. Yeah, has he ever really thanked me properly? But I give them the deduction. Elon would like it differently. Deduction only if you buy a Tesla. Right?
Trump didn't come to fight just for the money.
Trump isn't interested in war, Trump. He wants us to make money, not fight. Because war doesn't create, it destroys. Trump really doesn't like wasting resources.
Some countries are going bankrupt because they've put wind turbines everywhere. You need to make money from energy, not lose money.
Wise words. Stop destroying property, lives, and destinies, and start building, creating, improving.
But peace is a word that starts with P, which isn't far behind. A peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine could be reached as early as this week. Axios reports that Vitkov reached an agreement with Moscow and hinted that Ukraine would be better off accepting the White House. He says, as for the rest of Europe, we don't care about the Europeans. So, diplomatically, Trump is doing so much for peace that we have Nicki Minaj performing at the United Nations.
I would like to thank President Trump for making this issue a priority and for his leadership on the world stage, calling for urgent action to protect Christians in Nigeria.
Nikki is ultra, make America great again, so is Toyota. The chief executive officer of Toyota showed up at a National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing event in Japan wearing a Trump Vance shirt and a Make America Great Again hat. It's odd how everyone puts America first. But what about America? Like in that McDonald's ad. We just love it.
They approve of Trump for his foreign policy. At this point in his first term, Donald Trump had just 35% approval, but then his numbers soared. Now it's 43% up 8 points, meaning double-digit net approval growth. Americans approve much more of what they see from Donald Trump in foreign policy during his second term. All poll.
Everyone knows we have a real fighter in the Oval Office. Trump doesn't go to the octagon. The octagon comes to him.
The card people expect to see in the White House. That's what I'm going to put together. So Pat Trump versus Biden. It's always about the fans, what the fans want to see and what will get everyone excited. The fighters will actually come out of the Oval Office. Yeah. I mean, if you're a fighter, yeah, they'll come out of the Oval Office, yeah.
Maybe they should issue some executive orders?
Fighters in the Oval Office? Teddy Roosevelt would be so proud. Biden considered himself a fighter, but he spent more time fighting a cough. The country has always loved fighters. The Democrats know this, but aren't even competing themselves.
The Democrats. If we want to withstand the onslaught from the White House, first, we need to have a clear plan. And second, we need to bring more alpha energy into our leadership.
All right, a little more alpha energy. The Democrats aren't fighting for Americans. They're fighting against Trump or against each other. Van Jones is being torn apart. These cousins of ours are starving terribly right now.
Shut up. The cousins are starving. The cousins are starving. Because of people like that.
People like
Van Jones. By the way, this happens at Democratic Party meetings where moderates, I'd call them shy socialists, defend themselves from the radicals. Well, cannibals then. They're not even communists. They're some kind of communo-fascists.
Last night, Elon Musk attended a White House state dinner and praised President Trump. Dacus thanked him for everything he had done for America and the world while speaking at the American-Saudi Investment Forum. Earlier today, President Trump joked with Elon, saying that he never really thanked him for the tax breaks that benefited Tesla buyers. So,
The guys talked things over, sorted out the mess, had a smoke, settled their issues, and now they're back on good terms. Both of them messed up. But they don't want any unnecessary talk. By the way, did you know that there's no more global warming? I mean, of course, climate change exists. It's always going back and forth, but it has nothing to do with human activity. How do I know? Oh, Obama, Michelle first, and now Bill Gates confirmed it. He said, well, we made a little mistake. We messed up, if I used the same words I used a minute ago. And did you really believe it? Ha ha ha. I'm making it up. I'm making it up. Although climate change will cause the greatest harm to the poor, for the overwhelming majority of them, that is, even for the poorest, it will not be the only or even the most serious threat to their lives and well-being. So how is that possible? For about 25 years now, we've been told that this is the most important thing. So what is really important then? The main problems are poverty and disease. So all this time we've been lied to tirelessly. And now when it turned out that you can make more money on something else, I'll lift the veil of secrecy. It's artificial intelligence. So does that mean your belly button will get warmer or colder? Right now the money isn't in that, but in creating energy systems. And immediately there's a turnaround. And we, as expected, acted like fools with the fools. We left, so to speak, like, get out of here, don't get in the way of making money.
For most of my life, at least the last 35 years, we've accepted the dogma of climate change. There have always been debates, but the dominant narrative said, no, we must radically change our economy and move away from fossil fuels to renewables. And that usually meant wind and solar. I didn't think I would see the end of this in my lifetime. And then something happened. Artificial intelligence, it seems to be the greatest technological breakthrough since the Industrial Revolution. It requires huge amounts of electricity. We don't have that. We'll have to build a 101 gigawatt power plant. That's the size of a large nuclear reactor. We'll have to build about 100 of them a year, or the equivalent in clean coal or natural gas. And we won't get that by subsidizing wind turbines and solar panels.
So what happened when we realized we needed energy? Otherwise, there would be no money.
Orthodoxy. It used to be called global warming, but then when it wasn't just getting warmer but also colder, they changed the name to climate change. To suggest that any temperature extreme is all because of carbon emissions caused generally by people, but specifically by Westerners who polluted the planet with heat. Our planet is 4 billion years old and humans have only been here for 300,000 years. And we only have accurate records of temperature changes for the last 150 years. And even during this period, we observe cyclical changes between decades of abnormal temperatures, whether it's too hot or too cold. What about before the Industrial Revolution? In some cases, this can be seen in the annual rings of trees and in ice samples taken from the Arctic. So there have always been debates, but the dominant narrative said, no, we must radically change our economy and move away from fossil fuels to renewable sources. These were usually wind and solar. Why are we destroying Europe's economy, having exorbitant energy costs, electricity costs, when our contribution to global warming is only 6% worldwide? Then Bill Gates shocked the world by saying that he no longer believes the climate change crisis is coming. And then many others said, let's look at it differently. And of course, in Trump's second term, there will be people from the energy sector, the Department of the Interior, and the Treasury who say we will no longer subsidize this. Hypocrisy. The people who promoted the idea of climate change never suffer from the consequences of their own ideology. Barack Obama said that the planet would soon be flooded if we don't address global climate change. Why did he buy a seaside estate on Martha's Vineyard or on a Hawaiian beach if he truly believed that the oceans would rise and flood it? Multi-million investments. Why did John Kerry fly around the world on a private jet and then tell us that we fly too much? For business, when his carbon footprint was 1,000 times bigger than America's? Why do people on the California coast tell us we need wind and solar, and we have to raise the cost per kilowatt to 40 cents per kilowatt because we want to use less fossil fuel? And the temperature from Lockwood to Berkeley is 65-75 degrees year-round, but here in Bakersfield, Fresno, or Sacramento, it can be 105. And poor people can't afford to turn on their air conditioners. If you put all this together, the inconsistency of the global warming narrative, the vested interests of those promoting it, and the logic that they still haven't presented empirical evidence, that would convince us we need to radically change our economies at the whim of a few elites who have no evidence but a lot of hypocrisy in this process.
Our beloved leaders, Obama, Kerry, Clinton, Newsom, and Gates, and other sources tell us, do as I say, not as I do. Because you, unlike us, you are the plebs, the crowd, the rabble, the suckers. Go on, go on, go on, don't get in our way while we steal. And if you do get in the way, we'll inject you with another COVID serum and you won't have any offspring at all. Once again, I want to tell you how lucky we are that in 2020 they cheated Trump and he had 4 years to prepare to enter the White House again. You see, not even 300 days into his presidency and there's no more global warming. It's over. Gone, past, drifted away. Drifted away. Congratulations to you all. If you want quality content, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe and hit the bell. And of course, become a paid subscriber, $4 a month. You can pay more, but the minimum is $4. We would be grateful to you. And we provide additional videos for subscribers only. Goodbye.